Groups said we're going to do a month rotation. Some of the groups said we're going to do, 3 weeks. We have 3 leaders, one every week. I let them decide that on their own, and then if one leader is missing, it's their job to tell their co-leaders, I'm not going to be there, will you cover the verse for me? And it's not something I have to worry about as director, and I think that was like a really good decision. So if you're a director, you're talking to a director, advise them to do the same thing, to just let the leaders, the co-leaders discuss among themselves who's going to teach the verse. Questions about making handbook group assignments? No? Yes, go ahead.
So in your group, in your club, you have, like, let's say you had 4 groups of kids. Each of them had 2 leaders. Would that be a fair assumption?
We had 3.
Okay.
So
then, let's say all 4 of these groups are in one room. Is that what you mean when you said you left it up to the leaders? Like, do you teach the verse as a whole group?
No.
Do you let the individual groups teach the verse?
Yep. So we had 4 different rooms, 4 different groups, and each room had 3 leaders. One group had 4. So amongst those 3 leaders, one of those 3 would teach the verse each week, and they would teach it amongst a small group. So prior to this year, we did have 4 different handbooks, and so that's how we had 4 different groups, 4 different handbooks. Now, I guess you could teach the verse together and then split up, but there's so much discussion in teaching that. And I think kids will discuss more if they're in a smaller group than a large group. Yeah. Would that be the end of the world? No, but I don't think it's ideal. So I trained my leaders how to do small group time, how to lead it. I cast the vision, I trained them, I let them practice, and I'll tell you what, I was nervous about it. I have a lot of leaders that are more passive personalities and not people that you would expect to be a teacher, okay? And they're great leaders, but just not that teacher personality, you know what I mean? And so I was a little nervous about it. I'm like, if I teach these leaders how to do it, are they actually going to teach the verse? 100% of them did. And I would walk around club before club was starting, and I would see the leaders writing the verse on the board, writing out the question and the answer with the verse. They had a game ready. They were prepared and ready to go. And I think that that's a really valid concern of churches that look at this grace in action and they say, oh, my leaders are never going to do that. Like, they like to show up for club, just like you said. But I thought the same thing, and it proved to not be true. I did have one leader that said, I'm just not comfortable with doing this teaching, and I said, that's okay. It doesn't have to be everybody's thing. I'm not going to force them. I said, I still want you to come to club as a leader, and just tell your co-leaders that you don't want to do it. And the other 2 I put with him were, the teacher type, and they didn't mind at all. So that did happen, and that's how I dealt with it, but the rest of them, completely fine with teaching the verse.
Teacher types will teach as much as they want to, as they like to. Right? They love teaching.
Right.
If you're a teacher type, the more you get a chance to do it, you're going to do it.
Sure. Yeah. So that's handbook group. And any other comments on handbook time? Okay. Now let's talk about makeup sections. If a child misses a night, then they are encouraged to make up that section during fast track time. If they miss a section, then they jump right back in with where they were on the schedule. So let's say a kid has really sporadic attendance, they just would do their book really sporadically. And they would come and they would do whatever section the rest of the group is on that night in any order. And the awards match that you can do them in any order, so that's how the sections are too. Of course, we'd love for kids to come every week and complete it in the right consecutive order since it's all planned out, but that's not life. They don't always all come, okay? Any questions about makeup sections? Oh, also if we have a snow day, we totally skip that section and stay on schedule. So if there's a snow day on day 3.6, we never taught 3.6. We gotta just keep going because we don't add nights on at the end of the year.
So then for the child that wants to complete their book, they would make up that section on their own in the fast track.
Right. Yep. Anything else? Okay, let's talk about large group time. You can use Awana's curriculum so that your large group time matches your small group time, and that's awesome. I think that that's really phenomenal. So we talked about what that's going to look like for kids who aren't in that book, that it's just not going to match, and maybe that's life. If it can match, good. If it can't, I guess it can't, We talked about how that will work in future years. Awana doesn't seem to really have a firm answer. Like, they're not exactly sure what large group time is going to look like in future years, as far as if you have all the kids that go through the books in perfect order, like you are going to eventually have all 4 books, so then you would need 4 different large group times. You know, like on the webinars, there was people that would ask that question, and the guy didn't have a really firm answer about this is what it's going to look like in the future. I think it's kind of still to be determined. Do you all get that vibe too?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure that they'll come up with a good solution. I mean, it's Awana, they're good, right? But at this point, it's just, I think it's just a little unsure. But they'll get there. There are additional resources that are available online that match the large group time. In here it says where to go for it, and I'll just give you a tip. If you look at this, it says additional teaching resources are at awana.org/TT resource bundle. If I type that into my computer, it says page not found. If you put in the http://www, then it comes up, okay? So that's just a clue, because I did that like 10 times. I'm like, when are they going to release this resource bundle? And then I found it. I was like, oh, I guess it's here. They released the whole entire bundle yesterday, so now you can download all of the bundle, where before they just had like the first couple units, okay? Online, there are ideas for, how many of you have looked at the resource bundle online? You have? Okay, so online there are ideas as far as like an introduction for the lesson. There's games that go along, or learning activities that go along with the lesson. There's also PowerPoint slides, and that's about it, I think, on the resource bundle. So, but there's added resources. It's good. They tried. Okay. Any questions about large group time? No? Okay. Let's talk about awards. So the book completion awards will still exist, and that would be a book completion up to the extra credit section. Silver and golds aren't required for book completion. If you have a 5th grader that completes their first book, then they would get the first book award, just like normal Awana would be that way too. We give an award to every child at the end of the year, and that's just a participation certificate. We fill it out to say, Rachel Gingell memorized 30 verses and passed 30 sections, or whatever. We try to make the participation certificate somewhat more specific, because we did have kids that came all year and didn't finish their book. We still wanted to award them in some way. So we figured out how many sections it was and wrote that on there, but we do like to give an award to every kid at the end of the year. We give awards out during the year, so you will give an award for every 4 sections passed. They don't have to be in order, and they don't have to all be in the same unit. So if a kid passes, 2 sections in Unit 1, 1 section in Unit 2, and then finally a 4-section Unit 3, then they will earn an award. It doesn't have to be in the same unit, doesn't have to be consecutive. Any 4. Awana has released TNT record sheets, and they're pretty snazzy. There's a lot on there, but I think once you look at it, you'll be able to figure it out just fine. If you have kids that are sporadic, you could just like highlight the square. If they're going to do 4 different sections from 3 different units, you could highlight the squares that you've already awarded, and then you would look and say, oh, they got 4 more squares, yay, they get an award, and mark it on their sheet. Okay. Also, starting now, I don't know if this is a new thing or not, but kids are allowed to put their awards on their backpacks if they don't want to put it on their jersey. Is that new?
It seems new to me.
Yeah? Okay. So,
Do what you want to anyway.
you got a question?
I was just telling her I needed to order the record sheet.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Thought about I got to order them too.
Okay. How many of your churches give out Awana dollars? Do you have lots of churches that still do that? So don't they give out an Awana dollars if a kid passes 3 sections in a night? Isn't that right? So what do you do now? Are you going to give a kid an Awana dollar every single week if they just come past the section? You got to think through what you're going to do for Awana dollars. With Together We Move, we gave the kid an Awana dollar if they also said the review verse. We passed the section without the review verse, and then if they said the review verse, they earned the $1. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not. Maybe I shouldn't tell you that. Get after my kids, make them redo their sections, but that's what we did. This year we're going to require the review verse for the section completion though.
If your missionary says something different.
Okay, if he gets after me. Also for the bonus box, Awana recommends giving an award for the bonus box. That could be something that you give the Awana $1 for. You get $1 if you do the bonus box, or you get $1 for every 3 bonus boxes that you do, or you can even do a piece of candy for every 2 or 3 bonus boxes that you complete. Somehow give an award for the bonus box because it is a bonus if the kids do it. Okay? Any questions about awards? Okay, now let's talk about getting the parents involved. Would you say that you have good parental involvement now in the churches that you see? No, we don't either. So this is my plan to solve it. I have a plan, I don't know if it's gonna work. So I wrote this letter, and I'm gonna send this to the parents. One thing that concerned us, we have a lot of kids that come without a handbook, and that's not ideal, especially with this kind of format. They really need a handbook so they can follow along. So I'll read this letter to you. Dear parent or guardian, big changes are ahead for TNT Club at Maranatha Baptist Church. We're excited about this new approach because we think that it will help kids better understand God's Word. Here's what's new this year. Number 1, the unified focus on one section at each club meeting. The entire TNT Club will work together on the same handbook section each night. Our large group Bible lesson and the small group handbook time will focus on the theme of the night's verse, and students will study and memorize the verse of the night together in our small group handbook time. Number 2, we have new handbook formats. Each handbook has been redesigned this year and they really look great. In addition to some visual updates, each section now includes a Bible study as well as a verse or 2 to memorize and something to review. 3, a bonus box for you to help with. Each section now includes an extra credit portion that kids can work on with you at home. We hope that this helps you talk with your kids about what they are learning in club. Then we talk about what's staying the same. We have the opportunities to do more, and we talk about the silver and gold, awards for completing section. Here is how we say to purchase a handbook. Here's what's staying the same. Handbook prices. If cost is a barrier for you, no, we're still offering handbooks for $11 each, and we'd love for every child to have their own handbook. If cost is a barrier for you, let us know. Sponsorships are available. Super fun game time. Our goal remains the same. We want to reach boys and girls with the gospel of Christ and train them to serve Him. Then we're planning this Awana orientation. So we say our new Awana year will kick off with a family night on Wednesday, September 7th. We'll serve dinner at 6:45, followed by a brief 10-minute orientation for parents at 7:15. I hope that you'll join us. On behalf of all the TNT leaders at Maranatha, thank you for entrusting us with your kids each Wednesday night. We are honored to teach God's Word to your children. So we're going to mail this out, and we hope that parents will come to this orientation. Maybe, if we call them and send a letter, they'll come. But during that orientation, we're just going to show the parents the book, show them where they can be involved in the bonus box, and really try to get the parents involved. It's not something we've done before. Have any of your churches done a parent orientation like that? Your church has? Did it work good for you?
The first couple of years, yes.
Okay.
And then after that, I don't know if it was just the way that the culture was moving.
Sure. Yeah.
They just didn't seem to care.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that, with a new program, parents will come. At the end of the year, last year, we had a couple parents that had disappointed kids that they didn't get the trophy for the book completion. And so the parents were like, how can I help them? I'm like, you're a little late. You should have asked me earlier. But, I did see a couple parents of kids that we pick up on the bus that then showed some interest. So,
one thing too, I know for our club, we use a free texting alert system.
Yep.
Every week that we text each club the theme night, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So maybe we could incorporate that into
sure.
the TNT.
Remember to do the bonus box.
Remember to do the bonus box.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever.
Definitely. Yeah, we're starting that this year at our club, the texting, and I think it's going to be really good. Yeah. Any other comments about parents? Okay, let's take a little break.